Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. My name is Christina. This is a reading for twin flame divine feminines, or if you're not a twin flame and you're just wanting to learn more about how to nurture the feminine aspects or energies within yourself, then this reading is for you. I'm asking three main questions in this reading today. It's what's your current energy is the first one. Second is what are you being asked to focus on? And finally, where are some areas of growth that you can work towards, divine feminine? So we're starting here with the bottom of the deck energy. So the very first one we have out here is the truth. You cannot be truthful with another person unless you are first truthful and honest with yourself. The truth is not afraid of questions. So I love this for you, Divine Feminine DF. I'm going to just shorten that because I feel like the whole theme of this reading is really sort of getting down to the truth, first of all, of like who you are and what you want. And then finally, because the truth for me always is followed by action, right? It's like once you identify the truth, you then have to make the changes in order to align with whatever that truth is. And if that's something that perhaps you're struggling with, you have this card out here, Stars in the Sky, Limitless Possibility. This is the first time I'm seeing this card from this deck today, and it gave me kind of chills a little bit. So it was talking, well, first of all, it's like talking about meditation or whatever your spiritual practice is. There's a lot of that sort of energy within your reading today of like really focusing on your spirituality, what it is that sort of connects you or allows for full integration of yourself. This also talks about sort of like getting downloads from your higher self, that kind of thing. With the limitless possibility, it's also kind of asking you, like, what is it that you would do? What with the truth energy, it's like, what is it that you truly want if there were no such thing as limits, right? Or limitations. And what's lovely here for the tarot at the bottom of the deck, you had the Seven of Wands, which is sort of reinforcing this kind of meditation, and the Ace of Wands, which was underneath that. So I had to take that because it was a similar energy. The Seven of Wands is really focusing on, first of all, getting acquainted with your own truth, right? Like whatever this is, this talks about sort of maintaining energetic boundaries between you and basically everything else, because I do feel that there is perhaps a tendency for you to absorb or take on sort of the energy of other people. And so that could include like other people's desires and wishes that may not resonate exactly with you, right? And so that's what this is talking about with the truth, is like really being able to identify the difference between your truth and what other people are telling you you should be doing, or whatever it is, telling you what you should desire or what you should move towards, that kind of energy. And with the Ace of Wands here, I talk about this as being, it's like motivation, creativity, all of that, of course, but it's also about sort of burning through any kind of limitation, right? It's like being able to maintain sort of this focus in order to work through or eliminate any sort of resistance that you may have towards working to your goals, or like self-limiting thought is basically how I see this, like working or burning through, eliminating any sort of self-limiting thought. So that's a really lovely overall energy for your reading today. The current energies is the first question that we're going to be exploring. So the card that you have here is the Angel, which I love so much for you, DF. So it says, you may soon encounter a person or events that will benefit you in ways that seem to have angelic origins. You may be called to be an angel. So I love this card so much, because to me it's talking about someone who has almost like a supernatural grace or supernatural ability to manifest or create calm for others, or give blessings, is basically how this is representing today. And that's absolutely your energy today. You just have this sort of like angelic aura is basically what this is coming through as. So you may be called to be an angel for others, like giving blessings, even just like small things, right? Like just being kind is basically how this is coming through. And then here for the next deck, we have a tidy house, clarity and organization, and the perfect storm, the courage to step into life. This is one of my favorite cards in this deck. It's been talking about recently the perfect integration of body, mind, and spirit, and that all sort of meets in the heart center, right? It's like if you are connected to your heart, your truth, that kind of thing, that sort of integrates like the physical aspects of your life, what it is that you're focused on mentally, and also like your spirituality and how all those things come together and work together. So I feel like you're absolutely doing that. It's like answering your calling, but also being like sort of living in the highest potential of what it is that you're capable of is basically how this card has been coming through. Paired with the tidy house, clarity and organization, I feel like that's your energy, right? Just sort of getting everything in your life in order, in alignment, moving towards what it is that you want, absolutely. And getting sort of like I want to say like your mental space really clear and clean. There's a lot of sort of swords elements in the focus for the next part of the reading, so I'm going to come back to that energy. And then here for the tarot, these two cards came out together, the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Wands, or sorry, Queen of Cups, so both cups. How I read this Queen of Cups is just sort of like surrendering and letting go. It's like you have perhaps the desire of this Knight of Cups, if that's like your counterpart, or just any sort of like offer or planning of love, right? It's like perhaps you're waiting for that, or you've put the manifestation out there and just sort of surrendering and allowing that to come in. And I feel like that is the right energy for you to be in right now. We're going to move on to what is it that you should focus on. So this is the Wild Goddess Oracle, which I love so much. This is called the Protector. It says, surround yourself with people who lift you, accept you as you are, believe in your vision and purpose, and bring out the best in you. So what's really important about this card is this one here is sort of removing a mask, right? And it could be within yourself as well, because there is this sort of truthfulness aspect that's coming in, but also in other people. And what's important about what this message says is that there could be even elements within yourself with this truth card coming out where perhaps you're not believing in yourself or accepting all sort of aspects of who you are. There's that kind of like you have to be the one to believe in your vision first and foremost before anyone else is going to believe in it. And so I feel like that's kind of what it's asking you to focus on, is both if those energies exist within yourself, that's something to sort of take a look at. But sometimes it can be easier to identify what those energies are if you look at others, right? It's like if you can see sort of problems in other people, it's also acting as a mirror to reflect back at you that may be something that you want to take a look at within yourself as well. Not saying that that's 100% always the case, but sometimes it can be an indication to use others as sort of a mirror to reflect back at you what it is that you need to take a look at. Okay, so the three cards that you have for the Shaman Oracle are here: the Galactic Mushroom, Divine Matrix, the Empty Well, Time to Replenish, and Eye of the Needle, Intentionality. So how I'm seeing this today, just because the way that these are kind of overlapping images is kind of how this is looking to me, because this Galactic Mushroom, the Divine Matrix, is talking about the mask, right? This is sort of the mask of something that is perhaps draining your energy, right? I think that's what the Protector is talking about, or something that's perhaps taking too much from you is to, there's perhaps energies in your environment or within yourself as well that are masking as being perhaps like divine or in alignment or good for you or whatever it is. But in reality, it's like it's actually draining your energy somehow. And so I feel like for you, it's kind of, it's asking you to focus on this aspect where it's kind of like identifying what this empty well energy is like anything that is perhaps taking a lot from you. And it could be your own thoughts or belief systems, right? It's like if you don't believe in your vision, that's a self-limitation that you're needing to recalibrate or refocus on through the power of intention. So the first card out you had here is the Ace of Cups, which is really incredible because these two energies are looking so similar today, right? So it's like if there's any energies where you're feeling drained perhaps, right? It's kind of saying to focus on that with the energy of unconditional love, right? It's like take any sort of because I see this as being like a drain, right? Like a drain on your energy or resources, and just sort of almost like focus on it with the intention of filling it. And it could be with you and or within other people. How I'm seeing this is like, one example that's coming through is if there's, say, a person in your environment who doesn't have good boundaries or whatever it is, it's like they're asking a lot of you. You can still show unconditional love for them at a distance, right? With boundaries. You don't always have to be sort of giving directly to that situation. You can sort of step back and also just sort of project unconditional love. Like, you do your thing. I'm prioritizing sort of my or if you're just needing to take a break to replenish your energy is kind of how that is coming through. So there may be something like that of like having to, so I see this card also as sort of like establishing boundaries. It's like identifying what it is that is causing this sort of energetic drain, and then stepping back, putting a boundary up, and intentionally focusing on the energy of unconditional love is basically how that's coming through. Okay. And then these two cards came out together. So you have the Nine of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. So this is what I was talking about of having perhaps, because the Nine of Swords talks about anxiety or worry, of like you may be experiencing that sort of anxiety or concern or what was the phrasing? Like not believing in your vision or not, if you're experiencing anxiety, right? That's sort of the energy of like doubt, could be. Doubting in what it is that you're working towards or not believing in yourself, that kind of thing. But what I love about this Nine of Swords is that there's always this like little crow or dream that you can focus on. I sometimes see this card as being like letting all the demons out in order to make room for hope. And so it's asking you to actually focus on that and sort of let go of whatever else is sort of like the doubt, the anxiety, the worry, the not believing in yourself, that kind of thing. And with the Two of Pentacles, this card I see as being like bringing in a dream or trying to manifest something. It's like when you do this, like if you're catching yourself in this energy, is to almost focus on the present or like what it is that you have, because you absolutely do have a lot of resources that you can work with. It's like that's sort of what's going to help you pull in whatever this new dream is, or your goals, what it is that you're working towards. And then finally you have here the Four of Swords and the Six of Swords. So all of this, lots of swords in this section, and especially because it's coming out with like the needle, this I see is very much that energy of sort of perhaps needing to, it's that stepping back, right? It's like if there's an energy around you that is perhaps causing heartbreak. I don't want to say that necessarily, but it's just taking a lot of your energy. It's taking a step back from that in order to replenish yourself or your energy. And it could actually involve you stepping away from that energy or letting it go completely with the Six of Swords. Because I see this as being like having to leave behind this, because it's like, how I'm seeing this Six of Swords, it's like if you're trying to go in this direction, these three crows or those thoughts were almost like pulling you in the opposite direction, right? So it's like you're trying to move forward, but you have two opposing forces that were pulling you in different directions. And so this energy is talking about cutting loose the energies that are pulling you in the wrong way is what that's talking about. And if you're not sure what that is in your life, then focus on sort of the meditation. What is your ultimate dream and desire, and then letting go of anything that is pulling you in the opposite direction. It can be as simple as that, but oftentimes I feel like we think that it's not. Okay, so moving on. Where can you grow, DF? So you have the Fortune Teller, which I love so much. Being open to possibilities and trusting your intuition to interpret the answers from the Wild Goddess Oracle, or it could be any other tool, can help you to help others. So what this is talking to me about is absolutely sort of connecting with, first of all, your intuition. That's a huge thing. I feel like most Divine Feminines are already sort of on that track. But then actually using it to help yourself and to help others, because there's no point of intuition if you don't act on it, right? That's the whole point, is that intuition sort of shows you the direction in which to move. And I feel like there's something here of, so the Shaman cards that you have here, the Lost Compass, getting back to integrity, and then the Dust Devil, moving out of stagnation. So there is absolutely this sort of element in your perhaps life right now or circumstances where you're perceiving perhaps sort of this devil energy of like not being able to move towards the direction that you want. What I love about this card though is that this devil energy is just made of dust. It's not really anything solid or substantial or a physical blockage, if that's sort of how you're perceiving it. And it's moving out of that. It's like realizing that any sort of blockage or stagnation can easily be moved through. And then here with the Netcaster, which again, I love this card so much because it's talking about really identifying or detangling sort of energetic messes that you can have perhaps within your energy or in the way that you're thinking, especially with the Ace of Wands here. It's sort of like eliminating this sort of net. But what's caught in this net is the seahorse and the pufferfish. So how I see that is being unconditional love and a pufferfish, which is just representing a trigger. So oftentimes when we experience triggers, it's because we've been hurt. There has been a lack of love or whatever it is. And so it's kind of identifying perhaps what it is your triggers are. And then once you identify it, then sending it or surrounding that trigger or wound or whatever it is with unconditional love. Because that is what's draining your energy, right? If there's any sort of drain on this aspect that's pulling on your resources perhaps, or just pulling on your energy, your level of motivation, that kind of thing, it's identifying what that is and then just embracing it and surrounding it with love is how this card is coming through today. But that could also mean as well letting go of people, thoughts, situations, that kind of thing. Because you have here the 8 of Cups and 7 of Cups, and then also the 5 of Cups. So lots of emotional energy today, a lot of perhaps subconscious thoughts or patterning that is wanting to take a look at. But because this is about where you can grow, what it is that you can expand on. The Eight of Cups coming up first is really just walking away from anything that is not satisfactory, right? It's not meeting your needs. I was just thinking of, okay, I'm not going to go there, but it's basically just like, it could be like where it is that you are now, or the sort of the circumstances that you are in, your job, perhaps the people around you, relationships, even like simple things like your food choices, right? It's like, it may be close to what you want, right? There are 8 cups there. There is some level of like, yes, this is what I want. It's like saying, it's a very simple example. It's like, I feel like eating pizza, for example. It satisfies some sort of craving, blah, blah, blah. However, it's not the best food for me to eat, whatever, that kind of thing. So there is that sort of Eight of Cups element. It fits a lot of conditions that I want. However, it doesn't fit that one condition of being sort of good for my health, that kind of thing. And so it would be easy perhaps to say yes to that and be like, yeah, I'm just going to eat it anyway because, you know, whatever, it has 8 cups. So the challenge would be to walk away from that, to choose something else, even if it takes more effort, even if the next thing that you choose, the next option that you choose requires more effort, perhaps, right? It's like, instead of if I really am craving pizza, I could perhaps make a healthier version of that instead of ordering out, that kind of thing, where it kind of finding ways to find satisfaction within the conditions that you're in by making a different choice or walking away from something that is not satisfactory. Does that make sense? Okay, so the Seven of Cups is talking about that, right? It's like, in any given situation, making a choice that is perhaps different than what it is that you've been choosing before, because there's something within the choices that you've been making up until this point that have been sort of lacking in the full Nine of Cups satisfaction that you could have if you choose something different. But it could also mean that in this Eight of Cups, and walking away from things that you know are unsatisfactory, it could be putting you in sort of this back to the Seven of Cups, where it's like you have a lot of choices now and you have to sort of go through each one again to see whether or not that's satisfactory or not. Because sometimes the Seven of Cups talks about confusion, but it's like you're only going to know what it is that you find satisfying if you are willing to sort of pick and choose different options and experience them. Okay, and then the Five of Cups is sort of emphasizing this empty well, right? It's like putting a lot of energy into something that is not giving back or is not satisfactory, that kind of thing. And at a certain point, I do feel that you do have to make the choice to leave this thing behind, whatever that is, and move on to something that is more satisfying. There's this interesting combination of cards coming out next where it's like you have the Devil and the Six of Cups. So again, more cups. The Six of Cups is, I often interpret as being sort of like non-romantic soulmates, right? So like family members and friends. And it's coming through with the Devil, which is interesting because it could be that there is some sort of tie to friendships or family members that you perhaps choose because of like companionship, right? It's like you don't want to do something alone, or you want to spend Friday night with friends or family or whatever it is. But there's some sort of element of the Devil here where that is keeping you in a stagnant energy, right? Because it's representing the Eight of Cups. It's like you have to walk away from things that are unsatisfactory in some way. Like they could, because of the Devil, it's like it does have some sort of like aspect of pleasure or ties in some way, but there is an inherently unsatisfactory element to that. And so it's like having to actively perhaps walk away or choose solitude or whatever that is. And then finally you have here the Queen of Cups. Or sorry, Queen of Pentacles. So I'm getting so confused with the elements today. So Queen of Pentacles, which is this, the Lost Compass. Getting back to integrity, because this, I always see Pentacles, or the Queen of Pentacles as being sort of very full of integrity, right? Like stand on your own, very independent. But it's interesting because you have a lot of cups in this part of the reading, and then you have a switch to the Pentacles. So it's like if you're having like a lot of emotional sort of choices of not sure which direction to go in, or like not sure which elements to focus on, it's like it's encouraging you to perhaps focus on the material aspects, finding more direction or getting back to integrity in your sort of physical surroundings is how that's coming through. Okay, DF, I'm gonna end it there. Thanks so much for sharing your energy with me. I am going to be posting a Divine Masculine reading. If you're interested in watching that, I'll link it right now. Thanks so much for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day.